hell is going on? The King of Pentacles being the overall. This to me, besides dealing with a person, is really about, you know, who is providing in this relationship. I always look at the King of Pentacles as somebody who has the resources to make something successful. Okay? They know how to sustain success. The other problem, though, is you could be dealing with somebody who is being very selfish. But I think that they realize that there is something that they just can't give you. You know? And I think that you may have been dealing with a person here who thought that, it wasn't about a relationship for them. It was just about, like, seeing if they could have it or if they could have you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what I feel like looking at the King of Pentacles in this context. Now, he may not be the same King of Pentacles we keep fucking seeing everywhere else. But that may be the issue between you and this person right now, because there is definitely an opportunity that is happening, but they are not seeing how that's even possible. So you come into this with the Four of Swords. This isn't somebody that you have spoken to in quite some time, I don't think. And I think that you've been on a break from this person for a while. And whatever happened in the past, you kind of like made peace with it. Right? But there may have been like this issue of, watching the time pass without being involved with them, But with the Four of Pentacles, man, they're still hanging on. They're still hanging on. But the thing is that they're not willing to do anything here to have this new beginning with you. And you have the Ace of Cups there, but I feel like this is one of those things where you're going to have to finally realize that this person is not who you need to be invested in. It's like, stop going over this in your mind. Stop doing that. Stop looking at possibly having another opportunity, because they sure the fuck are not wanting to move forward. And with that Ten of Swords, it's done and it's over with. It's final. But the thing is that because they still come into this holding on, it's like they move into this place where it's like, maybe I should just move on. Maybe I should just stop doing this. Which makes me wonder if they don't pull you back in, but they're not willing to move forward on, like, reliving this relationship, or like trying to start it over, or, refill the emotions, right? And Judgment, again, you're going to be forced to look at everything here. Now, with the Six of Pentacles coming out again, with the King of Pentacles being there, can they give what's necessary to make this work? I think that you're willing to give your part, but then I also think that, you're understanding now what you have given to this and what you actually received from it. And I think that there is also a part of you that is like, because you're in this place of judgment, they see this as, this is definitely over with. It's done and over with. But the thing is that they still need to move the fuck on with that Eight of Cups being there. But then I also kind of get the feeling for some Scorps that this is going to be one of those things where it just needs to stay dead. It needs to stay over with, And it's funny because it's like it bubbling up to the surface. It's like the dead body that rises up out of the water, But it should have stayed underneath. And I think that that's what a lot of you are realizing here. Because they're not going to. They're not going to move forward. I don't think that it's them seeing you as not being able to. Because you're showing the fucking opportunity here. With the Page of Swords, what I don't like here is that the conversations that happen between you and this person, first of all, aren't very clear. You're not getting straightforward answers about anything. But to be fair, though, it could be one of those things where if you haven't been communicating with them, if you try to evade their questions and not give them straightforward answers, that may also be, why they're moving on, though, too. And I'm just trying to be fair here looking at this. Because, right, we're talking about what you're giving. If you're not giving enough information or enough clarity, then why should they continue to stick around, right? But the thing is that this should have stayed underwater. And then the Five of Wands, I don't get it either. Like, I don't get it either. And the thing is this isn't right, because I kind of feel like emotionally they're stringing you along. And I think that there is still very much a part of you that is looking at what you have been giving to this person and realizing that they've been like bringing you up just to let you fall. So, first of all, when it comes to the Three of Pentacles and working on the relationship with you, they clearly are letting you down and disappointing you. And again, we're talking about you reviewing kind of everything that has happened, and it changes the way that, you know, you are giving and receiving to this person, right? But clearly there's going to be some disappointment here in terms of working on the relationship because they're in this place, or maybe not, which, you know, I always looked at this one because of her looking over her shoulder like that. Like, do you see I'm getting ready to walk away, but are you actually fucking doing it? No. You know, it bothers me. It bothers me because here you are dealing with the hurt emotions over something not working or them not putting in the effort, but you know, you're the one showing the Six of Pentacles. Then all of a sudden, here's some hope being restored because they start setting things into motion here. And this is why I feel like there's this pull on you emotionally, you know? And for you, this is a big thing with the Star, right? Like, okay, maybe we can fix this situation. Maybe there can be healing, right? But I feel like this is false hope. And I hate saying that with the fucking Star. It bothers me. But clearly here with the Three of Wands, it's not that they're waiting for you to do anything or that they're expecting you to do something or expecting you to give anything, but they start setting this into motion that makes you believe that maybe it is worth giving to, but then you're completely let down because they let it fall apart and you don't understand, and I don't either with the Five of Wands. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. I don't get what you're doing. I don't understand why, you know, you're continuing to be in this place when you are clearly looking at what is fair and balanced in this situation. They should not have been, you know, getting your hopes up for nothing to let this completely fall apart. But then they're still not moving on though, and that's what pisses me off. This to me feels like where the deception is that this isn't meant to be a long-term relationship, Scorpio. I feel like what you're doing here is having an encounter with somebody that is, you don't bring them home to your parents, okay? And I don't think that they want anything further than that, but they may lead you on in that direction. You come into this with the Knight of Wands. This is getting swept up in some passion with somebody and we're just off and running. You know, wherever it goes, it goes. But you're going to move into a point here where you're going to have to take a closer look at yourself and who you think you are in this relationship, because we're not being realistic with the Moon. Now, this could just be somebody gets to live out their fantasy with you, them, if you've been fantasizing about each other. But where it goes after that, what bothers me is, why is it that you keep putting yourself out there for somebody that you can't connect with? You may be able to physically, but this is not what you think it is. Because I look at the Sun and think with the Knight of Wands, you wouldn't be moving into this position if it was. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's like, this is a perfect situation. It looks like it's the perfect pairing, a beautiful relationship, and you're all swept up in the passion with this person. But they're just living out a fantasy here. We're not being realistic about what's happening later, not wanting to face reality, wanting to be caught up in the illusion of, you know, it's just pretend. And you know that this isn't where you want to be. The Ten of Pentacles, this is about self-reflection in your relationship. You may have an overabundance of passion and being swept up in that, but do we have anything realistic that's going to take you all the way through? In the Seven of Swords, we're not connecting emotionally, we're not connecting mentally, you don't have anything in common with this person, you know, somebody needs to speak up and tell the truth, right? But somebody keeps putting themselves out there. It's like, I like the attention, so I want to continue to do this even though this person isn't going to give me a fucking thing else. And then Strength, you're still hanging in there though. But that makes me wonder though, because with the Moon, Scorp, I don't feel like that's you. I think that you get fully invested from the get-go. But there is an apology that has to happen for something here with the Moon, and not, you know, and it makes me wonder if at some point it's like You got to know this person, you got carried away, everything seemed great, but then it really didn't, end up being as fulfilling as it should be. The 10 could suggest that it came to an end, but we're still in this place of fantasy land. But do they come back through wanting to talk to you again and wanting to apologize for letting things go into this place where it wasn't realized? Possibly. But the thing is that you're putting yourself out there for somebody that just does not feel the connection, but with strength here, we're still trying to hang in there. And that may be where deception is coming through here. Again, they can't give you what you need. And to believe otherwise is to your detriment. I would just be careful about who you're coming in contact with, especially if you're caught up in these emotions. You may not want to face it now, but you're going to have to. Like, you're going to have to, because the connection between the two of you isn't going to be felt. I mean, and there's no point in continuing to put yourself out there for this person. You need to find the strength to just say, okay, enough is enough. And then you have the Queen of Swords. Scorp, I think that these issues need to be healed for you, because if you continue to hold on to this, it's going to be bad for you. And it's going to make it harder for you to move on. I really think that you're looking at a relationship here with a person where it's like things ended in a really bad way and you don't feel comfortable with continuing to have this person in your life, continuing to connect with them, right? Like, it isn't working, and you can't force yourself to feel something you don't feel. And with the Hermit, you're looking at, is this really what I want to continue to do? Because I look at you still dealing with this person, even though your relationship is technically over. Now, with Judgment, maybe we just need to heal some issues and clear things out. But the problem is with the Queen of Swords, man, we're still focused on how somebody fucked you up, because I always look at her like she can't get her focus past this person that hurt her so badly. But with Judgment, we're trying to clear that out. Anything that is making a relationship stagnant, we need to get rid of it. But for some of you, maybe you just need to face the fact that, if it's over, it's over. Because I'm looking at you going, this is not you. This is not happiness. You can't force yourself here. So how do we heal these issues? How do we heal these issues in order for you to move on, And then the Nine of Cups. Now, let me just say, though, with this relationship, there is definitely a possibility for you to get back to a place where you're happy, enjoying each other's company, right? But as long as that Queen of Swords is there, there's always going to be a part of you, I think, that is going to be really, fucked up over what happened. I don't know how else to put that. Okay? With the Six of Pentacles, this may be the reason why things ended, or why you may be considering ending it, because you just don't feel anything anymore with that Four of Swords, and you may be trying to force yourself to do it, but I don't think that you can. Somebody is neglecting you. They're not giving you what you need. But clearly we're not comfortable with still being involved with this person. But, are you forcing yourself to do this? But is it because you feel like things need to be healed? But I look at the Lovers and think, if we're talking about somebody who is having trouble between what they know is good for them and the temptation, I think that the temptation in this case is continuing to try to work on a relationship that is dead. And I think that that you could have better, or that you deserve better. And clearly what you want here is to be happy. But you're not, I feel like you're fooling yourself if you think that you can force yourself to get back to this place where you enjoy being around this person, being with this person. Unless Judgment can clear out what is going on here with you, and you can get your focus away from, where you have been hurt, where you have been neglected, where you've been let down. But yeah, Scorp, this is going to take some serious consideration. If we can't get rid of whatever the issues are, then, we're wasting time, is what I feel like. Because you could make a choice for something that makes you happy versus being tempted to stay with what, And it's funny because it's like this is what is comfortable to you, but it's not at the same time.